number 15. This piece is called Section 10, 11 Sun Dream, or S10, 11 SND. In the month of February 2nd, 2011, I recorded this dream inside my dream book. Today I dreamt that I stood in front of my old elementary school, which is located in Brooklyn, East New York section. After I took notice of my old elementary school, which is located in Brooklyn, New York, I found myself walking to a train station. This train station was an elevated train station. I might have been attempting to take the number 3 train. I believe a guy was following me. I entered the train. The train was crowded with Puerto Ricans. I was not feeling comfortable in this car which was crowded. I sat in the middle with other people sitting beside me. I was now becoming nervous. So I began to chew my bubble gum, and I began to make bubbles with my gum I was chewing. Then I seen a person get up from a 2-seated seat near the car door. I got up and sat by the car door that lead into the next car. The new seat I was sitting in was cut in half. So I got up and sat in another 2-seated seat, which I quickly discovered was also cut in half. So now I returned to my first seat I sat in when I entered this car earlier inside this dream. Now the car was filled with 5 black women. 3 black women sat on my left and 2 sat directly in front of me. Then the next thing that took place in this dream, that I exited out of the train when the train pulled into a few stops ahead. So when I exited out of this train, I still felt that someone was still following me. I felt that the person that followed me into the subway system was the same person that followed me out of the subway system. Then I found out that I was somewhere still in East New York. I was looking upon Pennsylvania Avenue. Then after I looked upon Pennsylvania Avenue, I had gone into a small candy store briefly. Then I exited out of the candy store. And then I found myself still looking at Pennsylvania Avenue, and I noticed across the street from Pennsylvania Avenue was a comic book store. So I gone across the street, and I gone into the comic book store. And prior to really going inside the comic book store, the person I thought that was following me was now on my back. So I shoved the person off my back, and then I proceeded to go inside the comic book store. While I was inside a comic book store, I noticed there were comic books still in boxes. There were also a lot of comic books displayed in comic book racks. And I also heard the cheerful sounds of comic book fans. And these comic book fans inside the store were talking about their favorite superheroes. So I looked around in the store. I too, looked at some comic books. Then I got my fill of comic books. So I exited out of the comic book store. And then I noticed it was very nice out, very sunny outside. And I seen across the street, somewhere around Modell's Avenue, Modell's store, I seen across the street men laying up against a wall. They were sitting down, and they were had their back up against a wall. And so I said to myself, I wouldn't mind going across the street and sit on the ground and sit beside these men that were sitting on the ground with their back up against a wall that was connected to a store. So I gone across the street, I sat down, and I placed my back up against the wall. Then across the street, still at Pennsylvania Avenue, I seen 2, I believe, law enforcement agents. They wore dark blue uniforms, and they were talking. They was engaging with each other. And then I noticed a 3rd law enforcement agent approached the other 2, and I think this 3rd law enforcement agent was a sergeant, because the other 2 law enforcement agent acknowledge this person's presence. So now there was 3 of them talking, law enforcement agents, and then I noticed that there was a black man looking up into the sky. So I said to myself, I'd like to know what is he looking up at. So I too look up into the sky, and I noticed that the man that was looking up in the sky was staring at, I believe, our sun. Our sun was blue in appearance. Our sun, if it was our sun, looked like a little a blue marble. Like back in the days, when people would play with marbles, little small marbles that come in different color. These little small marbles look like cat eyes. Well, anyhow, I took notice of the sun, and the sun was blue, and had some type of like milky thing on the surface. This milky like cloud substance on the surface of a blue sun was spinning around. Then I noticed also 3 or 4 kind of metallic circular objects that had spikes on them were stationed next to our blue sun. And then I said to myself, oh my God, am I the only one besides the man across the street? Is this the man across the street and myself are the only 2 that can't take notice of the blue star or the blue sun in the sky? And before I left this dream, I noticed that the sun was over, I believe, a church or over a church steeple. And then after I took notice of the blue object in the sky with the silver spheres that had spikes on it, the next thing that happened in this dream, I found myself, I believe, back here in Brooklyn, New York, in Bedford-Stuyvesant area. I think I was on Atlantic Avenue. And then I noticed that there was a mailbox before me, a U.S. Mailbox, a blue mailbox, and I noticed a small little silver coin, a foreign coin with silver. So while I was gazing upon the little blue mailbox, I realized there was a piece of paper in my hand and a pen. So I proceeded to draw the blue sun and the circle spheres that were next on the right hand side, on the upper right hand side of the sun. And while I was beginning to draw the blue sun and the spheres with spikes on them, a white man, a white young boy came next to me, and he asked, what am I drawing? And I was trying to cover my drawing because I wanted to keep the drawing to myself. But at the same time, I sensed that this white person was a demon of a sort. And then I told the person to please leave me alone, go away. And the person would not go away. So I began to tell this person, in the name of Jesus, I command you to stay away from me. Because like I said, I sensed this person was a devil. And then all of a sudden I noticed 2 or 3 black kids were watching me, telling this white person to stay away or to go away from me in the name of Jesus. So while I was continually telling the white person to stay away from me, this white individual actually turned into a wisp of smoke. And the wisp of smoke just floated in front of me and in front of the kids. So after the person turned into a whiff of smoke, a rope was dropped from the sky, and the rope stood in front of me. So I climbed up the rope, and I climbed all the way through the clouds, and then the rope led into a small room. And this small room had a short, somewhat husky black man that was in this room. And the walls of the room were small, and this short, husky black man gave the impression that this person, short black man, was the devil himself.